From the high-definition educational broadcast center at Bergen Community College's main campus in Paramus, this is Studio Bergen. Hi everyone, I'm Larry Hlavenka, and welcome to Studio Bergen, your connection to the state's largest community college. With the official installation of the Vice President of Academic Affairs last month, the college's new, full executive team is in place. Beginning with the appointment of Dr. B.K. Walter as president last year, many of the school's top jobs have been filled by newcomers to the college. Dr. William Mullaney recently joined the college as the Vice President of Academic Affairs. Prior to joining Bergen, he served on special assignment as Dean in Residence at the District Office of the Maricopa Community Colleges system on a number of large-scale projects, most notably developmental education and student success. Meanwhile, Dr. Nadine Gonzalez de Jesus is the college's Vice President of Student Services. She joined Bergen earlier this year after serving as Burlington County College's Associate Dean of Academic Advisement, Transfer, Special Populations, and the Educational Opportunity Fund since 2009. Also, Dr. Yun Kim, the new Vice President of Institutional Effectiveness, comes to Bergen after serving as Associate Provost for Academic and Institutional Effectiveness at East Stroudsburg University of Pennsylvania. Dr. Ron Milan, who previously served the college in a variety of roles, including as Director of Bergen Community College at the Meadowlands, is now the Vice President of Administrative Services. A trio of Bergen veterans, if you will, Dr. Ursula Parrish-Daniels, the Executive Assistant to the President, Jim Miller, the Executive Director of Human Resources, and Lori Francis, the Executive Director of the Bergen Community College Foundation, are also members of the executive team. Each year, April 22nd is recognized as Earth Day. For Bergen, Earth Day 2013 was an opportunity to educate and raise awareness regarding a variety of environmental issues, including the rise of the electric car. At the event, members of the community brought their electric cars to campus to show off the advantages of a vehicle not tied to the fluctuations of the gasoline market. Chris Neff, a local electric car enthusiast, helped organize the event with Bergen's faculty. While the adoption of electric vehicles has been gradual, he believes buy-in is inevitable.
There are a lot of people we meet that have electric cars now that never thought they would have one, but they come to meetings like this, they see what we do, and they take a ride in our car and they realize that these are real. These make a lot of sense. And it's not just about being green, these are fun. They're quick. You know, that's what surprises a lot of people is how fast they are.
On the topic of electric cars, students in Bergen's STEM Club are currently working on creating their own homemade electric vehicle. When it's completed, we hope to feature it on this program. Shifting gears to a more somber set of stories, the college's Center for Peace, Justice, and Reconciliation hosted two events that shed light on genocide. On April 8th, Bergen professors, county officials, and students joined the nation in commemorating Holocaust Remembrance Day with a series of speakers and events aimed to discuss the impact of the atrocities that took place during World War II. Also last month, Professor Geoffrey Sadock conducted the lecture, Genocide in Green, British Intent During the Great Hunger, which discussed the so-called Irish potato famine that killed 1 million people in Ireland. During his address, he examined issues related to the famine, including politics, culture, and geography.
The famine had enduring consequences, and it broke in two waves. The first wave broke 1846, 1847, and I will get into the agricultural cause of the blight. And then it came back. There was about a year during which it looked as though the potato crop would grow again, but then by 1849 it came back with a vengeance, and it was even worse than the first time.
Bergen's attention to issues past and present continued with the Spark a Change program's Anti-Bullying and Suicide Prevention Walk, April 19th. The now yearly event featured students, faculty, staff, and members of the community walking to support the group's causes and to raise awareness about the issues. Jess Valdenero, a representative of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, which organizes similar Out of the Darkness events, and Bergen student, shared her appreciation for the day.
I want to make sure that you guys have a good day, because this is not one of those days that we're supposed to be sad and lonely and blah. So you guys are all together, and it represents a sense of unity amongst each other. You guys might not know anything about each other, you might know everything, or you might think you know everything. This is one of those days where we're all together, working together for a cause, and that's for suicide prevention and anti-bullying.
Spark a Change is led by Bergen professor Jamie Keller. Meanwhile, in this month's Faculty Focus, Professor Skip Huisking detailed his somewhat unconventional arrival at the state's largest community college. Some would consider it a long way from a career as a specialty pharmaceutical company executive helping develop preservatives for brand names such as Lysol and Clorox to Bergen Community College professor, but not Skip Huisking.
I worked my way up through a 30-year career in a successful level of businesses, and the way I did that was training, teaching, motivating a group of people to have the same vision that I had. And it wasn't designed for me making all the decisions. I found out real quickly, real early, that teamwork approach and ethics and integrity work wonders. So my whole career was built on building a group that would handle the issues, the challenges of the business. So in a lot of ways, I felt I was teaching, but not formally.
Nearly 30 years into his career in private industry, which spanned multiple continents and responsibilities, Professor Huisking made a change.
As happens with a lot of businesses, the main board of trustees decides they want to change their focus and take money out of the chemical pharmaceutical business and start putting it into packaging and aluminum. So rather than be a growth industry, we then became a cash cow industry. And that's after spending 28 years building business and growing from, 25 million up to over 500 million. I decided almost 50, maybe now's the time to get out. So I took a package and retired early.
What the business world lost, the academic community gained. Professor Huisking, who joined Bergen as an adjunct 7 years ago and became a full professor in 2009, reiterated that certain concepts should be pervasive in both.
A business is providing a service and a value to its customers. And I believe these students are our customers. Doesn't mean you give them good grades, they have to earn them, but you've got to provide the environment to do that. And I think using more business techniques and principles, I think the college and academia will be much better off. You're seeing that in many of the universities that are on the forefront. And the best example I'll give of just successful nonprofit companies are now using standard business principles to grow and to be effective in whatever product, or service that they're providing. So it's not about profit. Profit should come about by doing the right job, doing a job with integrity, and providing value to whatever your customers are.
Much like his pragmatism for the academic community, the professor's perspective on his former industry remains rooted in facts, even for a field mired by a negative connotation.
We believed in protecting the environment. We believed in using sound science to find out if there were problems, and if we had problems, we fixed them. And what's really nice is I started work at this facility in 1972 in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and that was during the 70s when all the environmental stuff came through. That plant is still operating. It's still the largest employer in the area and gets awards for being environmentally conscious. Because what I believe is you can do it properly, and when you do, you'll be successful. And that's what I try to pass on in my classes.
Every day in his classroom, Professor Huisking's real-world experience makes an impact on students.
What I hope they gain from me is that business is not rocket science. There's a lot of common sense. I don't teach to memorize when the industrial age production started on July 4th, 1830. I don't teach memorization. I teach concepts of how you look at businesses, how you manage people. I spend a lot of time with people because of my belief in ethics.
April also featured the 4th annual Bergen Community College Alumni Dinner, sponsored by the Alumni Network and the Foundation. The gala event at Seasons in Washington Township saw the college honor its own. Tim Foote with the Rising Star Award, Arthur and Cecilia Tolve with the Living Legacy Award, and Robert Fusco with the Alumni Hall of Fame Award. All were honored for their significant contributions to Bergen students. At the dinner, Fusco, now a Bergen professor, thanked those who helped him achieve the honor.
There were and there are a lot of people, a lot of teachers, faculty, staff, administrators, right down to secretaries at Bergen Community College. Some of them are still there. Some have moved on. They all inspired me and kept me going. I can't tell you how many times I wanted to quit my educational path and do something else, and I would call one of them. They'd be like, I'm a little busy, go for a walk and call me back in 10 minutes. And I would go for a walk and then I wouldn't be mad and I forgot what I called them for anyway. So.
Coming up after a short break, we'll have more news from the college and the outgoing student government president and vice president in studio. We'll be right back.
Welcome home, man.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today. Learn how at ready.gov.
Ooh. So discover the forest and explore all the wonder that's there. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Welcome back to Studio Bergen. I'm Larry Hlavenka. With students hailing from literally hundreds of countries and many different ethnicities, religions, and backgrounds, Bergen's hallmark remains its diversity. On April 3rd, students, faculty, and staff and members of the community came together for Diversity Day, which featured a variety of events, speakers, and the creation of a diversity quilt. Vice Chair of the Bergen Board of Trustees, Sid D. Wilson, spoke at Diversity Day and even contributed to the diversity quilt. Meanwhile, at the annual Judith K. Wynn School of Honors Conference on April 12th, Bergen professors served as moderators for student-led discussions on numerous topics. At an awards luncheon, the students were recognized for their contributions and praised for their work. Also last month, a number of guest speakers visited campus. On April 5th, Dr. Dorian Wilson visited to shed light on organ donation as part of the college's yearly event. Dr. Wilson discussed the critical need for organ donors due to the large disparity between donors and those in need. Additionally, 2 authors visited. The first, Mary Karr, who wrote The Liars Club, which was a New York Times bestseller for more than a year. She also penned Cherry and Lit, a memoir, which have received critical acclaim. She read from Lit during her visit to Bergen.
Not long after, Curtis swans in, giving off an odor of patchouli oil as he rifles a drawer. He says, "Your mom's a riot. I'm going to visit her in Texas. She knows a place I can buy ostrich skin cowboy boots. I'm sure she does, I say.
The second author, Siddhartha Deb, began his career in journalism, but transitioned to fiction writing later on, before once again returning to nonfiction when he wrote The Beautiful and the Damned, a portrait of New India. In the book, he discusses his time spent undercover in India, working in a call center for Western-based customer service inquiries.
There was a lot of unhappiness about jobs disappearing to India, both in England, in Europe, and in America. And certainly on the behalf of unions, basically people were talking about the fact that they were losing these jobs, that even these low-end service jobs were no longer available in places like England or America because people in India were doing it for far less.
April also featured a performance and discussion by transgender musician Ryan Casada as part of World Month.
I've been thinking about going west and got a ticket but a worn out vest. But then I left scars on my chest. I'll be running naked in the sun. I've been thinking about going west. Out here, San Fran is where it's best. I get my T-shot so I can run.
On the sports page, men's basketball forward Larry Burrows earned third-team NJCAA Division III All-American honors. Burrows averaged a double-double for the season with 24.7 points and 10.9 rebounds per game. He shot 66.2% from the field, which led all Division III players. Congrats from one Larry to another. With the spring semester nearing its completion, registration for the fall semester is now ratcheted up. By May 20th, all students, including current and new, can reserve their seats in Bergen's hundreds of course offerings across its locations. Summer registration remains open as well. To register, visit A129 in the Pitkin Education Center at the college's main campus in Paramus, or visit go.bergen.edu online. In this month's campus calendar, the renowned Dance Theater of Harlem will visit the Bergen stage Saturday, May 4th at 7:30 p.m. in the Anna Maria Saccone Theater. Call 201-447-7428 for tickets. The college's second biggest awards ceremony, Academic Awards, will take place Tuesday, May 14th at 6:30 p.m. in the Anna Maria Saccone Theater. The college's top achievers will be honored at the event. And finally, the granddaddy of them all, the college's biggest event of the year, Commencement 2013, will take place Thursday, May 16th at the Izod Center in East Rutherford at 10 a.m. Be sure to watch the live edition of this show in the 30 minutes prior to commencement. The pre-show will be streamed live. Check bergen.edu/commencement 2013 for the link. Welcome to our in-studio segment this month. Last year around this time, we spoke with students Margarita Valdez and Michelle Soto, who were just elected as president and vice president of the Student Government Association. So we thought it would be appropriate to bring them back 1 year later and talk about how things went. Welcome back, Margarita and Michelle.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. So, why did you run for president and vice president last year? Let's start with that.
All right, just to go a little bit more about the position and also why I ran for it, I can say that I had the passion to help the students, and therefore I'm here today. If it wasn't for the people who support me and believe in me, I wouldn't be here and talking to you. One of the things that I can say that I run for that position is because it was going to allow me to continue with a path of making changes in the school. And today I can say that I have seen many changes, and it wasn't because of me, it was because of teamwork, and that's what I can say for that.
And your partner in that teamwork was Michelle. So Michelle,
Yes.
what was your first reason for seeking office?
I think, like Margarita mentioned, it's just passion. You have a lot of passion for what you're doing. As a senator, you see all the changes that students really can force, and it was just wanting to continue what they were doing with the past board and making sure things got done, and just that drive to make sure that the student voice is still active is what made me want to run.
So with that in mind, what were some of the goals that you came in? What were some of the things that you wanted to do in 2012-13 for Bergen Community College?
Well, there were so many things that we wanted to accomplish, but there are only a few things that we can do in a year. We wanted to get the vote for the student trustee. We also wanted to reestablish a scholarship for students. We wanted to help the administration to create a swipe card for the students, and so other things. Michelle, if you can go over.
Yes. Well, like she mentioned, we wanted to do the swipe card system. We wanted to create a scholarship. Well, there was an SGA scholarship where we wanted to revive it and really get the students some money that we all know that they need. Because
and you did.
We
did.
Got we got to give out 3 scholarships
Yeah.
to students, and then many students applied, and it was surprising because it was the first time that we got it out there, and a lot of students applied. Amazing. I think through that process, we saw the amazing stories a lot of Bergen students have and how Bergen impacted so many of them. And that was great because our slogan was by the students, for the students. So that was just the most obvious way that it was something that students passing by dollar by dollar, we collected over $2,000 to give out back to the students.
Which is terrific. And just tracking back, you mentioned the voting rights. That was another that's a huge success. Talk a little bit about what that does to empower students.
Well, last year as senators, we advocated for the alumni trustee to get a vote. And after a whole semester of fighting and doing our thing, we finally got the vote in the last, I believe the last board meeting. So that was exciting. And one thing we wanted to continue was the student trustee, which doesn't exist right now in community colleges in New Jersey. And it was something we researched a lot. We had a lot of meetings with different officials. And we realized, even though we wanted to get it done in a year, because it's outside the institution, it takes years. So it's something that we already having meetings with the candidates who are running to make sure they continue to find out more information, what ways we could bring it to committees to Trenton. So it's something that's definitely not going to die out, but it's going to go through many e-boards before it gets done.
I know another thing that you guys were really tied to, as the whole college was Hurricane Sandy. The SGA did a ton of work with that. What was that like to kind of support an effort for an event that affected so many people in Bergen County?
Well, with the Hurricane Sandy, everyone was affected on the East Coast. And we came together, and a lot of administrators called the student leaders so that we could come out with a plan. And that's when we came out with a supermarket. So with the support of many companies and many organizations, we hosted this event, and we got to help more than 50 families. We also got to call hundreds of students so that they can come to the school. We also participated in a few towns, Munaki. Michelle and I and other students from other organizations and administrators went to that town, and we helped them out, and we made a lot of changes. And I can tell for myself that I wasn't only helping them, but I also was helping myself, because just to look at them, I noticed that by helping others, you can grow as a person, and that taught me a lot of things. Just seeing those persons saying thank you to us. I was one of the students who luckily did not lose electricity, but most of them did, and that made me feel that I should say thank you for the things that I have, but I actually want to have something that I can help others with the things that I have, and that's what that I can say from Hurricane Sandy. It was a bad thing that happened in Jersey, but also shows that we're a family and we came together.
From somebody that saw it firsthand, you guys did an absolutely terrific job.
Thank you.
Would you consider that kind of the crowning achievement of your year, or would you put something else as number one?
I think it's definitely one of the biggest things that we did. It was directly helping out the students, and it was something unplanned that kind of threw a wrench in our original plans. We're going to have the town hall that week, which is a very important event where we get administrators to come down and really answer questions directly to the students. It's not what do you hear through the grapevine, but directly the correct answers that students always are asking. But the Sandy hit, and we all came together, not only student government, but we had faculty, staff, administrators, different clubs, all come together to help out the students. And I think that's the biggest way we could give back at the time. But the scholarship, all these other things that we're working on, the swipe cards, we actually, through our advocacy for the swipe cards, the administrative wing went and actually got almost $200,000 to invest into the swipe cards, which is amazing that we even got that. So that's something that they're actually going to give a presentation soon to the VPs on different companies who offer it. So it's something that just because it's the end of the year, there's a lot of things that could happen.
And that's a
something we're
legacy.
working on.
That's
Of course.
something that could go on for future SGAs and something
Definitely.
I'm sure you guys want to see happen.
Every e-board works very close to the prior, so it's something that's definitely not going to die out. The whole summer is our training session, so it's to make sure that they fall along with what we were doing and nothing gets lost in between.
What was something, I don't want to call it a disappointment, but what was something that you really wanted to tackle and you never got around to it just because there was so much else going on?
Well, I could say the student trustee, that was something that we believe and we're still fighting for it, but we couldn't accomplish it this year. This is something that we noticed it will take more than a year. It will take probably years in order to accomplish this goal. And what it works is that we first have to, as she mentioned it, we have to go to the State House, and then we have to bring it to so many committees so legislators could approve that for community college. This is something important to have in the school, so the current student will have the right to be in the board of trustees and say, this is what we need, and also to have the right to vote. Therefore, it takes more than having a alumni trustee. Last year, it didn't take that long because that was a decision that was made, went to the board trustee. But this one, we couldn't accomplish it, and that's why we don't feel like fully happy because of that. But besides that, I think that we can work on it.
But that said, I mean, you kind of planted the seeds. So that kind of dovetails into my next question. What is the advice that you'll leave for the incoming executive board that's going to be elected very soon?
Advice. There's a lot of tips and things we could tell them, but it's just really about working together. Never use the word I. It's just something that we learned, and it's just really important teamwork. You never really think how much you depend on others until you're in the executive board and everything you have to do with each other. And it's just teamwork, working together, making sure communication's always there. But a funny tip they told us last semester during the summers, if you have any problems, fix it out in the summer before school starts so you can concentrate. So it's definitely that. But there's so many things we could tell them. It's just working hard and do it for the right reasons and balancing things out. School is always important. You don't want to leave school to the back burner.
Right. And speaking of school, you guys are going to make your next step, which is going somewhere else, doing something else. What's on the plate for you guys?
Well, already I said to one of the schools, still waiting for Soto then, but I seem like I'm going to Rutgers, and I'm planning to go for a global business.
Great.
I had the passion to be traveling and also for making business. And hopefully in the future, when I establish a company, I can establish a non-profit organization that will allow me to do what I love the most, helping people. And that's
shocking, shocking. I'm very shocked by that, Margarita. That Margarita wants to help people. I can't imagine. Michelle, how are you going forward?
I think SGA affected us in a similar aspect. I think I've always wanted to volunteer, and I think being an SGA and helping out students directly just made that so much clearer. And I'm actually going to take the year off, and I'm planning to go abroad to India and South Africa and volunteer for a year in different orphanages, teaching English, building houses, whatever the case is.
Again, I'm shocked that Michelle wants to help people in this year that she's going to take off. We're about to wrap up here, but I'm going to editorialize, and I'm going to say you guys truly, when it comes to student involvement and student activism, I've never seen anything like it in the years that, whether I was a student or the years that I've worked here, you guys really spearheaded so much at this college, and you truly did great work. So from me to you guys, you should really be proud of yourselves and pat yourself on the back because you did something really special here.
Thank you.
Right? So thanks for coming on this show. That's all the time we have this month. Don't forget to visit the college's official Facebook page to tell us what you think about this program. I'm Larry Hlavenka. Thanks for watching, and take care.